Yeah, no, I've never made a bounty video. And because I've never made one, I think I've talked about just the importance of bounties, but not exactly predicting bounties post-Wano or post whatever. But I think it's a very interesting topic. People have been telling me, or asking me rather, because don't tell me what to do, all right? Don't tell me that. People have been asking me, hey, can you just make a bounty video? What do you think the Straw Hats bounties will be post-Wano, etc.? And I think every chapter on the rooftop, my prediction for the bounty of the Straw Hats post-Wano, it goes up and up, or rather the monster trio. Yes, including Sanji. So in this video, what we'll cover is the bounties of Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy post-Wano. And then the next one, it'll be Jinbei and everybody else. And I'll even include Yamato and her bounty and what that could possibly be if she does join the crew. But to raise my bounty, subscribe to this channel for more content like this, drop a like as well, and without further ado, let's talk about it. So I think the key to videos like this, because I haven't watched any videos like this, so I'm gonna set the boundaries, not boundaries, I'm gonna set the criteria, right? How do you figure this stuff out? I think the key to what's gonna happen is looking at what has happened and understanding how these characters got their bounties in the first place to evaluate how they could get their bounties going forward. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go through for Monkey D, Luffy, Roronoa Zoro, and Vinsmoke Sanji, how they got their bounties initially, and then it'll be easier to see what their bounties would look like going forward post-Wano. And of course, we'll update this as this goes on. I've been meaning to make a bounty video for the warlords as well, you know, post-dissolution, but we'll get to that. Right now, let's talk about Luffy. So, Luffy's first bounty. This came after he defeated Arlong. And for Luffy's bounty, it's really funny because Nezumi, Captain Nezumi, yeah, that rat guy from Arlong Park, he was mad at the Straw Hats and what they did. So he called them immediately. Well, first he said he'll pay them back in spades, but he called immediately like, yo, we have to regard Straw Hat and his 4 companions as enemies of the state. Assign a bounty to his head immediately. And based off of that, Luffy got a 30 million berry bounty. Luffy's second bounty was after defeating Crocodile and exposing Baroque Works. Of course, there was some cover up going on there, but Luffy's bounty was then raised to 100 million berry. And the cool thing with this bounty raise was the Bellamy stuff, because Bellamy saw his old bounty, the 30 million berry. He was not aware that he was a 100 million berry man as yet. So I think Oda crafted that reveal and tied it in with Bellamy and his perception of, you know, strong pirates, etc. It was masterful, right? Just peak One Piece. Luffy's third bounty, that was after the assault on Enies Lobby, defeating Rob Lucci of the CP9, and of course, you know, declaring war on the world government. And his bounty was then raised to 300 million. And then of course, he's lauded one of the supernova. Luffy's next bounty was after breaking out from Impel Down, participating in the Marineford War, and, you know, post all that stuff, Luffy got a 400 million berry bounty. Luffy then had another bounty raised after Dressrosa, and of course, the events there, defeating Doflamingo, but essentially freeing the people of Dressrosa. However, he defeated another Shichibukai, and then his bounty went up to 500 million. Luffy's last bounty raise was to 1.5 million berry, and that was after the events of Whole Cake Island. Of course, there was some big news propaganda in which he threw his hat in the ring and said that Luffy is more than likely going to be the 5th Yonko, or already he should be heralded as the 5th Yonko based on his ties and things he's accomplished so far. So Luffy's bounty finally eclipsed 1 billion, and now he's a billion berry man. Zoro, his first bounty was 60 mil, and that's after he defeated Daz Bones in the Alabasta arc and the bounty hunters in Whiskey Peak. You gotta include that because Baroque Works don't get the credit that they deserve, but they were pretty notable. Zoro, of course, his first bounty is that large because he was known before he met Luffy. So all that tied in, and Zoro got a 60 million berry bounty. His second bounty was after Enies Lobby and, you know, defeating Kaku and just a bunch of fodder. Zoro did manage to defeat T-Bone as well, so all that factored in gave him a 120 million berry bounty. His next bounty raise was after the events of Dressrosa, and the most notable thing was defeating Pika of the Don Quixote pirates, and that raised his bounty to 320 million berry. Sanji, his first bounty was after defeating Jabra of CP9, and he was given a 77 million berry bounty. The funny part with Sanji's bounty was that his first bounty poster, it didn't look like him at all, and it was a sketch because the photograph that they took, they forgot to remove the lens cap, so his photo looked like what Duval used to look like. So that was a whole thing in Sub-Odi, but that was his first bounty. Sanji's second bounty, that was due to Vinsmoke Judge, and he used his influence as the ruler of the German Kingdom to increase Sanji's bounty to 177 million berry. The cool thing about this one, because every bounty raise seems to have a story behind it, Sanji's bounty, it was only valid if he was captured alive, and that sent the community into a panic, right? Only alive, we had never seen that before, and then people started spamming like all the commanders and only alive things, whatever. But that was Sanji's second second bounty increase. Sanji's next bounty increase came after the events of Whole Cake Island, in which, for the most part, he was able to incapacitate Big Mom by baking the cake. He didn't defeat anyone notable, but he clashed with several top-tier opponents. Katakuri, if you want to call it a clash, Oven, Daifuku, etc. And because of the exploits of the Straw Hats overall, where they got away from Big Mom's territory, they went in, got Sanji, and got out. His bounty was raised to 330 million berry, and of course part of that is due to the fact that he's a Vinsmoke, but mostly because of what he did in Whole Cake Island. And the notable thing about this, it's slightly higher than Zoro's, so Sanji could talk a bit of smack. And that brings us to where we are now. Luffy with 1.5 bill, Sanji with 330 million, Zoro with 320 million. So where do we go from here? So looking at Wano and based on what they've done so far, for me, you have to look at other characters as well. So right now, Luffy's at 1.5, Blackbeard's at 2.2. It's really hard for me to see Luffy surpassing Blackbeard. However, Blackbeard's bounty could increase by the time Luffy gets his bounty increase. So I try not to use his as much, but I think post-Wano, right? If Luffy gets out there defeating Big Mom and Kaido, and he went into Wano, comes out, Wano is his territory, Jinbei and Yamato officially on the crew, I think Luffy's bounty easily jumps to 2.5, if not 3 billion, because I think he could get another bounty increase after this, but that would certainly put him in the upper echelon. He's already up there, right? At 1.5, one of the highest bounties that we know currently of in the series. If he comes out of Wano and he defeats Kaido and Big Mom is incapacitated, Luffy's bounty would easily get to 3 mil. So my official prediction for Luffy's bounty at the moment, because I could update this video, is 3 billion berry. That's my official prediction for Luffy post-Wano. Zoro. So currently Zoro's at 320. Of course, after Whole Cake Island, he couldn't get a bump because he wasn't there. You thought he would get some because Luffy got some, and therefore, if Luffy's your captain and he's becoming the 5th Yonko, it would trickle down to everyone, but no. Zoro has been going crazy in Wano, okay? From initially making himself an outlaw in Wano, to clashing with Kirishiro, to now clashing with Kaido and Big Mom on the rooftop. I think with the defeat of Big Mom and Kaido, Zoro will get a lot of credit, not as much as Luffy, obviously, but when they fall, he's gonna get significant praise. So from 320, I think Zoro could go all the way up to 1.2 billion berry. Yes, I think Zoro eclipses 1 billion berry. So my official prediction for Zoro is 1.2 billion berry. Next, Sanji, 330 million berry. Of course, he's higher than Zoro's right now, but we know there are some technicalities that came with that. However, I do see Sanji eclipsing 800 million berry, so I'll put Sanji at 950 million berry. For the most part, Sanji's been in the background. He's had tussles with King, some tussle with Page 1, but not to the level of Zoro where he's fighting the Yonko, right? And that's going to be important, and that's going to be factored in. Zoro's the right hand of Luffy. I think this was a joke, of course, with Sanji having a higher bounty. So I think he gets to 950 million berry. That's my official prediction for Sanji, 950 million. Something keeps telling me 860, but I'm going to jump 950. Of course, these are significant jumps, right? Because they are subordinates. And we know after a certain number, I think it's 400 million, it's very difficult for your bounty to go up. But it would be hard pressed for the world government not to take this seriously if Big Mom and Kaido both fall and the Straw Hats come out of this alive. And those are Luffy's 2 top executives. So of course they would get a bump as well. If Sanji ends up aiding them on the rooftop, that would be cool, but I do not think Sanji surpasses 1 billion just yet. I think after Wano, they get a bump, and then there will be another bump probably after finding the One Piece or something, or even after defeating Blackbeard, and then that could possibly be their final bounties, right? But guys, give me your thoughts. Give me your predictions for the Straw Hats and their bounties, or specifically the Monster Trio. If you enjoyed this, then we'll definitely make the video for the others being Jinbei, Yamato, and the other Straw Hats, because I think bounty predictions can be interesting, right? But guys, give me your thoughts. How do you feel about the bounties? Give me your predictions below. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys all so much. Guys, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
I start doubting me, I felt lost.